Ever feel like you're putting in all the effort but nobody seems to notice? Yeah, us too. We all have times when we feel unnoticed and unappreciated. This feeling can creep upon us when we're giving our all in our personal or professional lives, yet we don't get the recognition we deserve. It can feel as if we're tirelessly pushing a boulder up a hill only for it to roll back down again. We labor, struggle, we pour our energy into projects, relationships, and goals. Yet, the acknowledgement we yearn for seems elusive, as if our exertions are swallowed up by a black hole, leaving us asking, does anyone see it? Does anyone care? This feeling, this gnawing sense of invisibility can be disheartening. It can make us question the value of our endeavors and the worthiness of our contributions. There are times when our might seems to evaporate into nothingness. We are left feeling like we're screaming into an abyss, yearning for a response, but met only with silence. This lack of recognition, of affirmation, can sting deeply. It can be like pouring your whole heart and soul into something, only to feel as if you're transparent. Invisibility might not be superpower we desire, and if you've ever experienced it, let me assure you, it's not a good feeling. Picture this. You're chatting with someone, but it feels more like a monologue than a dialogue. You find yourself in a one-sided conversation, where the person across from you has taken the reins and is riding the conversation at a relentless gallop. They steer the discussion according to their whim, barely acknowledging you're in the dialogue. Your attempts to speak are met with indifference, your words seemingly swallowed up by a void of disinterest. It's as if your voice, your thoughts, your opinions are evaporating into thin air. You make efforts to assert your presence in the conversation, but it's like you're tossing pebbles into a vast, unresponsive ocean. Your opinions, your viewpoints, your ideas, they all seem to disappear into the abyss of their indifference. You try to share, to contribute your thoughts, to add your own flavor to the conversation, but all your attempts seem to be ignored. It's as if your words are fading into the background, your views dismissed without a second thought. You feel invisible, ignored, as though your thoughts and feelings are being casually tossed aside. While conversations should ideally be a two-way street, a platform for an exchange of thoughts and ideas, in this situation, it's like you're throwing words against a concrete wall, expecting a response. It's like your views don't matter to them and they couldn't care less about what you have to say. You're speaking, but to them, it's just white noise. They turn a blind eye when you try to share, disregarding your input like it's worthless. Conversations should be a two-way street, but when it feels like you're talking to a brick wall, it's a clear sign something's amiss. Communication is key in any relationship, right? But what transpires when it feels as if you are the solo player in the game of conversation? It's almost as if on a stranded island, sending out messages in bottles, but the sea returns nothing except your own echoes. There's this undeniable sense of frustration and disappointment that clings on to you every time you put in the effort to reach out, yet receive only deafening silence in return. Imagine trying to bridge the gap, trying to mend fractures that have begun to appear in the relationship, only to be met with the cold shoulder. It's like trying to communicate with a brick wall. You implore, you question, you plead, but all you're left with is your own voice echoing back. The lack of reciprocation can make you feel like a shout into the void, a futile attempt to catch someone's attention. The most frustrating part is when you're left to wonder whether your messages are even reaching them, or are they simply choosing to ignore them. This persistent lack of initiation or reciprocation from the other party leaves you with a nagging feeling of being sidelined, of being considered insignificant. It's as if you're not even worth the few minutes it would take them to respond to your messages. When people consistently fail to initiate or respond to communication, it can leave you feeling like you're not a priority in their lives. Have you ever noticed that some people seem to make minimal effort when it comes to spending time with you or meeting your needs? It's a peculiar phenomenon, isn't it? It can almost feel like you're fighting for their attention, competing with their bustling schedule. You may wonder, Why is it so hard for them to carve out a little time to invest in our connection? They always seem preoccupied, absorbed in their own world, juggling 1,000 tasks and commitments. This isn't about seeking constant attention, about the value of shared experiences and mutual investment in a relationship. We're talking about the simple act of showing up, of being present and available, of showing that the other person matters. Isn't it the backbone of any meaningful interaction after all? In this fast-paced world, we're all juggling multiple responsibilities. But what does it mean to truly prioritize someone in your life? It's about making a conscious choice to show up, to give your time, your attention, your effort. Sadly though, it seems some people consistently fall short in this regard, and this can be disheartening. It feels like they're always too busy, always too caught up in their own lives to spare a moment for you. Such can make you question if you're really valued. It can make you feel like an option rather than a priority, like you're constantly taken for granted. And while we all have busy lives, prioritizing relationships means putting in the effort to show you care. It means demonstrating that the person is important enough to invest time and energy into. When others consistently fall short in this department, it can leave you feeling like you're not valued or appreciated. Boundaries play a critical role in maintaining healthy relationships. But what happens if someone persistently dismisses yours? Perhaps they encroach upon your personal space without your consent, or they neglect your desire for solitude. It seems as though comfort and personal limitations are of no concern to them. They might interrupt your quiet moments, insist on unnecessary interactions, or barge into your space without a second thought. These intrusive actions can make you feel as if your feelings and needs are being disregarded or even dismissed, creating a sense of discomfort and resentment. It's as if openly showing a lack of respect for your personal boundaries, which could potentially strain your relationship. And when your boundaries are consistently ignored, it can leave you feeling disrespected and undervalued. Ever been in a situation where everyone seems to be hanging out without you? It's a perspective that can sneak up on you, leaving you feeling alone even while you're surrounded by people. You watch your friends' Instagram stories or Snapchat posts, seeing them having fun together while you're not around. Their laughter echoes in your head, their smiles feeling like a slap to your face. You overhear your colleagues discussing the after-work drinks you weren't invited to, their words adding more weight to the sinking feeling in your chest. Every uninvited event, every excluded conversation hurts more than the last. You're trapped in a cycle of self-doubt, left questioning your worth, your likability. Sting of exclusion often leads to self-criticism. You obsess over what you could have done differently, where you might have gone wrong. But in the midst of this emotional turmoil, it's to remember, this is not a reflection of your worth. Exclusion can be a harsh reality, a painful reminder of our desire for social belonging. It's an unfortunate part of life that we all experience at some point. And while it's natural to feel hurt by exclusion, it's important to remember that it says more about the other person than it does about you. When life throws you curveballs, it's invaluable to have a sturdy, reliable support system to lean on, isn't it? A soft cushion that absorbs the shocks and helps you bounce back. But then, what if those around you falter in extending the needed aid when you're at your most vulnerable? What if they step back when you reach out for help? It feels as though you're battling life's hardships single-handedly, armed with nothing but your courage and determination, with no one standing by to lend a hand or offer a reassuring word. It's a test of endurance, a trial of your all carry our own burdens, our unique battles that sometimes go unnoticed by those around us. But the real essence of friendship, the true meaning of love, lies in standing by those we care for, through their highs and their lows. True friends, real loved ones, they don't flee at the sight of your struggles. They don't shy away from your woes. Instead, they stay. They stand firmly by your side, through your brightest days and your darkest hours. They're there for you through thick and thin. However, the harsh reality is not everyone possesses this empathy towards your problems, your struggles. This lack of understanding, this absence of empathy, it can leave you feeling like an island in the middle of an ocean, utterly isolated and devastatingly alone. When others lack empathy towards your struggles, it can leave you feeling isolated and alone.